You see this? This is a perfect example of a slave mentality. I'd like to start out by saying Barakatah Yahweh.
You see this?
By Hashem Yahushai. By Hashem Rakakodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is You See This? Now I was watching this video by Elder Yashawamba, and pretty much, my first thought was disgust, when I was listening to this guy. Then afterwards I started thinking, well, Jake, the Lord blinded 2/3 of Israel, so they're not going to get it. But this is the perfect example of a slave mentality, to where everything that you say is based off of what the so-called white men, which are the Edomites, say. And pretty much he's telling people to beware of the Black Hebrew Israelite movement, which is something that Esau teaches, calls us Black Hebrew Israelites, although we've said numerous of times that we're not Black Hebrew Israelites, we're just Hebrew Israelites. He echoes Esau's sentiment. Then he said that this is blasphemy, this is, that it's, for us to call ourselves, Israelites is blasphemy. He also said that that we're worse than the Ku Klux Klan. Now, anyone with a half a brain would stop and consider before they make that statement and look at what the Ku Klux Klan has done and look at what we have done and say, nope, that's not a good comparison. Because the Ku Klux Klan, they have burnt crosses, they have burnt homes, they have lynched men, women, children. They have cut body parts out of men, the genitals and hands, feet. They have burned men alive, women. They have raped women. They have stolen properties. They have done all different type of manner of wickedness. And we have done none of those things. So how can we be worse than the Ku Klux Klan? But this is the slave mentality that's prevalent among Jake, especially the so-called Black Christians, Latino Christians too, and all the rest of them, but especially among the so-called Black Christians, which is a tribe of Judah. That is the worst religion on the planet. Christianity is the worst religion on the planet, because everything from that is based off of plantation Christianity, which is based off of white supremacy, as the elder Yashawama pointed out. And it's not based off of what the scriptures say. Now, I didn't get to this part here. This is what made me watch the video. He said that teaching the 10 Commandments is an evil doctrine, and I haven't got that far. I mean, I got a little further up here, somewhere around 11, 12 minutes. I just brought it back just to show a picture of this pretty much this zombie, I have to call him, this zombie here, man. And it makes no sense here in 2020, the year of prophecy, and given the history of the so-called white man, the Edomites, and what they've done to our people, from the so-called Negros to the so-called Latinos to the so-called Native American Indians, for any Israelite out there to be given this man a pass, to have anything to say negative against what we're saying, which is what the scriptures say, and it's a shame, but we know that it has to happen. And these are the type of individuals that in the kingdom they're gonna be ashamed. They're gonna have their head way down for a certain period of time, but then eventually, they'll come out of it because they are Israelites. A lot of them ain't gonna make it on this side, but they'll come back in the kingdom. And that's the balance of the whole thing. That's the whole picture. So you have Israelites out there that give you a picture of things, but they don't give you the whole picture. They only give you a one-sided picture. See, we deal with the whole, we deal with the whole book, the whole doctrine, the whole 100% truth. We don't give it to you piecemeal. We don't give it to you at 50%. We don't give it to you at 90%. We don't even give it to you at 99%. We give it to you 100%, from what has been revealed, in these times. So what first scripture I want to get is Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 11. It says, hath the nation changed their gods? So these nations that are around the world have a slew of gods. They have a bunch of gods that they worship. And in worshiping these gods, they have not put those gods away. Some of them strayed away and went to other religions and things of that nature. But for the most part, those people retain their ancient customs and their ancient worships. Although these gods that they're worshiping are not gods. Psalms 96:5. For all the gods of the nations are idols. They're just idols, but they haven't changed their idols. They haven't changed their position as far as their religion is concerned. And this is why you still have those different religions up until this very day still practicing in their country. It's only when they come in contact with America that they falter. But for the most part, these nations that are in their country still hold on to those ancient customs. You know, you don't see the Moabites putting away Buddha. You know, you don't see the Hindus putting away their different gods or whatever the case may be, so on and so forth. It says, but the Lord made the heavens. So the Most High Yahweh, he made the heavens. But the gods of the nations are just that, idols. But being just idols, hath a nation changed their gods? And the question to that is no, which are yet no gods. But my people have changed their glory for that which doth not profit. And what is our glory? Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. So they've changed that glory for that which doth not profit. Plantation Christianity does not profit, Jake. The Ku Klux Klan, in the name of Christianity, were lynching you, burning you, murdering you, raping you, destroying you. Same thing with all the other tribes. When they came here to the Americas, when they came to the islands, you know, they came with what? Christianity. And then with the sword in the other hand. And what did they do? By deception, destroyed us, killed us, enslaved us. And this is the same Christianity, plantation Christianity, that you're pushing today. You know? This is the same one you're pushing today. It's no different. It says, so that does not profit you. That religion of Christianity does not profit you, just like the Constitution does not profit you. Because when the Constitution was written, it was written for the Edomites. When this plantation Christianity was devised, it was devised for the Edomites. That's why everything in their doctrine is so-called white. When we read the scriptures, it says different. When we look at certain paintings, you know, prior to the Renaissance, they show you different brown men, men of color, so-called black men, you know. But here it is, you want to hold on to something that doesn't profit. And it hasn't profited you in the last 400 plus years, and it's not going to profit you in the future. Because that is the philosophy of another nation, which they used our book to push upon us. All right. It says, be astonished, O ye heavens, all this, at this, and be horribly afraid. Be ye very desolate, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And to this very day, our people are in a desolate state. That's why for the majority of them, everything is uncertain. There's a lot of uncertainty in the air. And that's pursuant to the scriptures. Deuteronomy 28 and 65. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease. And there is no ease. And this is why Jake figures if they reach and do the things that Esau wants them to do, that they'll get a fair shake. But then when you go in there, you have to do a lot more. You have to do things that you wouldn't normally want to do in order to keep that position. And in order to be into that plantation Christianity, you pretty much gotta treat us as nothing, as pretty much as servants to Esau, because that's all that plantation Christianity is. It teaches the so-called black man, which are Judites and West Benjamites, Levites, and it teaches the rest of the tribes, the so-called Native American Indian and so-called Latino tribes, that they're nothing more than slaves, which is all that they've taught us that we are. When we are the people of the Most High, we are the saints. We are the royal people of the earth. And this is why there's no one like us. But in these philosophies that don't profit us at all, we're playing the fiddle for Esau, jumping up and down, being a Sambo, a sellout, and pushing his form of what he calls Christianity. And that's why individuals like this are going to be ashamed in the kingdom for a period of time. It says, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. And Jake's feet, do not have rest. Because no matter how much you work here, you never really get ahead. And you see what's going on right now with this whole shutdown. They're pretty much imploding the economy. They're making things worse. And it's not Jake that's doing it. It's Edomites that's doing it. But you have Jakes that are backing them, helping them. Pushing this agenda forward. Didn't even as sellout Martin Luther King say that he led his people into a burning building or something like that? So even they know at one point that, man, I shouldn't have never done this. But it's too late, because once you do one thing, you got to do another thing. And if you don't, what happens? They either demonize you, they'll kill you, make it look like a accident or a so-called natural cause. So there's no escape from them. Once you sell your soul, there's no escape from them. So it says, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest, but the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart and failing of eyes and sorrow of mind. And this is why a lot of Jakes, the failing of eyes part, meaning that whatever they put their hand to do, it's always a disappointment, and sorrow of mind. And this is why you have a lot of cases of depression among Jake, because this is a part of the curse that was put upon our people. It says, and thy life shall hang in doubt before thee. Yeah, because the only aspirations that Jake have in this society are what? To entertain. And this is what Esau likes. So that ratio-wise, not every Jake is going to make the team, for whether it be football, baseball, basketball, whatever. Not every Jake is going to get a record deal, contract. Not every Jake is going to, become a movie star. Not every Jake has those skills to do whatever it takes. And then when you get there, even though you may be the most talented person, you have to do things in order to get a higher. They'll give you a little taste. They'll string you along with that carrot. But then eventually you have to do things to reach the next level. There's levels to everything. Just like there's levels to the truth, there's levels to these falsehoods. There's levels to these different false religions. There's levels to getting ahead in this society. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have none assurance of thy life. So your life is hanging in doubt before you. And this is what plantation Christianity pretty much does to Jake. There is no hope. The only hope that Jake has, if you really examine the faith of Jake out here, pursuant to this plantation Christianity, their hope is in Esau. That's why, let's see if we can find that other precept. Is that, I believe that's Isaiah 10. Yep. Isaiah 10 and 20. It says, and it shall come to pass in that day that the remnant of Israel, meaning the elect, and such as are escaped out of the house of Jacob, shall no more again stay upon him that smote them. And Jacob is staying upon Esau that smote them. They're staying upon this devil that smote them. Excuse me. They are staying upon Esau that smote them. They are trusting in him. And although he gives Jake a hard way to go, and the history of this devil since he's been in this country, we're not even talking about before that, has been nothing more than demonic. They still trust in this devil. They still put their whole faith in this system, in Esau. And this is why they can't let go of that plantation Christianity, because that is their hope. Because they love Esau. They can't give Esau up. Just like they love pork and they can't give pork up. They love Esau, they can't give Esau up. You know? It says, but shall stay upon the Lord, the Holy One of Israel, in truth. See? So only the elect are going to be able to do that, because the Lord is going to bring them to the truth. But 2/3 of Jake are not going to get it. You know, and this is why you have individuals like this making these stupid statements. You know? And if he really was to sit outside of himself and hear himself talk, he would feel ashamed of what he's saying. Because what he's saying is madness. And like Elder Yahshua said, it's self-hatred. Esau done beat Jake in the head so much, all the tribes, especially Judah, that it is impossible for them to formulate in their mind that they can be the Israelites, that they can be this great people. Although all the signs are there. Although they, you know, they're pretty much, the tribe of Judah is pretty much like gods on earth. You know, from the amazing things that they can do. You know? But still, they can't picture themselves being great, although all the signs are there. Which goes back to what? To that slave mentality. Matter of fact, let's look up slave mentality, see what it says. Slave mentality. Let's see. Let me just put in definition. I should have went to that one. Okay, they got an Urban Dictionary. Here we go. Slave mentality definition. A person legally owned by another and having no freedom of action or right to property. And see, Jake fits this because Jake, you know, we're all slaves to this devil by contract. It says a person who is forced to work for another against his will. Well, that's just how it's just slave. It doesn't give you slave mentality. I wanted to get slave mentality, but they don't have that. All right, so let's go back. All right, let's just go to the Urban Dictionary. It says a mental attitude that includes feeling inferiority, and this is Jake. So now it's like, oh, that's the Urban Dictionary. No, but this is true. This is true. A mental attitude that includes feelings of inferiority and a need to be controlled. And this is a perfect definition of slave mentality. A mental attitude that includes feelings of inferiority and a need to be controlled. And that's what Jake, that's the attitude that Jake has in the society, because this is something that was beat into them. You got to understand that what Esau did, he didn't only put us into captivity, but he also programmed us on how to think. He programmed, you know, the black woman, the Latino woman, and all the other women, how to treat their sons and baby their sons, you know, and not really teach them the right way, but teach them to be afraid of the so-called master, you know. And this is why when we read in the Apocrypha, what is that? Is that Ecclesiastes chapter 30? This is all what you see out here, the average Israelite man, woman, and child. This is an engineered process. They've been engineered to think and feel this way. They've been systematically taught to be slaves, to have that slave mentality. a mental attitude that includes feelings of inferiority and a need to be controlled. And this is why Jacob said, no, we ain't no Israelites. In other words, we can't be great people because we need Esau to rule us, to guide us, to tell us, what to do. Ecclesiasticus chapter 30, verse 1. He that loveth his son causeth him oft to feel the rod, that he may have joy of him in the end. And this is why Esau makes laws to where if you beat your children for discipline purposes, then that's child abuse. Because they know that beating a child when they're young, when they do something wrong, will get them in the right mindset. The scriptures say in Proverbs, folly is set in the heart of a child, but the rod of correction will drive it far from him. You see, and that's what you don't want your child to be, a folly. And when you see Jake, for the most part, it's just nothing but folly. It's nothing but folly, and that's why Esau don't take Jake serious. It says, he that chastises the son shall have joy in him, and shall rejoice of him among his acquaintance. Why? Because he's not going to do stupid shit, so to speak. It says, he that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy. And this is the point right here. He that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy. Why? Because now you're showing your children, especially your sons, who the enemy is and why he's the enemy. Not just because he's an enemy because you say he's an enemy, but why. Look at his track record. Look at the things that he's done. How do you think we got here as slaves? And this is why they're trying to erase that history to make it seem like everybody was always on equal plane. Just you guys didn't have enough discipline, to maintain. That's why you find yourself in that position. But everything was equal. We were all on an equal playing field. But when you go back into the true history, you were brought here as slaves, man. The rest of our forefathers here in this land and throughout from Canada all the way down to South America were colonized. We're stripped of our heritage. We were stripped of our lands, stripped of our language, stripped of our identity. And we're taught how to act and be like Esau. And this is that slave mentality that continues to this day. Because it all begins with programming the mind. And that's what Esau does. Now, I was watching Out of the Shadows, very good documentary. And the guy was saying, why do you think they have something called a TV? Television. So they're telling you a vision of what they want you to see. And he says, when you go into that television, they have what? Channels. And how do you get people to obey? By channeling different thoughts and ideas through these different spirits that go into the minds of the people. And what happens, he said, they also have in there in the TV, programs. So you're being programmed through this television, and channeling those different witchcraft and different images in your mind to have you to behave and think a certain way. And this is Esau's greatest gift. Remember, he's the master of deception. And this is why you had the Willie Lynch letters and the different things on how to control your slaves. It's not just enough to beat them. You have to mentally break them down. And this is what's happened to our people, that we've been mentally broken down from being royalty to being peasants. And the only hope that we have as a people before we wake up is what? That we're nothing but slaves. So we have to find something, to be able to sustain ourselves, like entertainment. It says, and before his friends he shall rejoice. So that's the point. He that teacheth the son grieveth the enemy. And that's why, where were we? Right here, and thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have none assurance of thy life. And that's the bottom line. And Jake does not have any assurance of their life. That's why in this society, Jake has that slave mentality, because this is a part of the curse. And Esau, through his subtlety, has programmed Jake's mind to think this way. And this is why they give Judah the hardest way to go, because until Judah wakes up, we can't go forward, because the Lord said he would save the tents of Judah first. Because they have to wake up first so that the rest of the tribes can't jump up and magnify themselves against Judah, because Judah is the head tribe, and that's it. If anybody got a problem with that, they can hit the high road. It's the Most High's way or the highway. So that's why they had to raise up first. And this is why everything is mostly geared to the destruction of Judah. Because if Judah wakes up, then the rest of the tribes wake up. But it's too late, because Judah already woke up. And now you see the rest of the tribes waking up. But they're focused mainly on Judah to destroy Judah so that the prophecies can't come to pass. And this is why it says, let's go real quick, and we're going to go back here. There was another precept I had. I guess I finished that. Damn, it was just a scripture that came to mind. Just left me that quick. I wish I would have just grabbed it. Well, anyway, let's go. Let's move on. This is Isaiah 26:13. O Lord, our power, other lords have beside thee have had dominion over us. And what is dominion? Dominion is straight up rulership, straight up authority. Dominion. The word is Ba'al, which the word Ba'al means Lord. To marry, rule over, possess, own. So it's to rule over. To rule over. To marry, be Lord. Husband over. So pretty much Ba'al means lordship, rulership, dominion. O Lord, our power, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Other lords besides thee have had dominion over us, but by thee only will we make mention of thy name. So Esau has been the rulers over us. And this is why the Lord said in Isaiah 10:20, and it shall come to pass in that day. I just remember the scripture that I was thinking about. Romans 3. It was the Spirit just brought it back to my mind. Let's finish this and we'll get there. And it shall come to pass in that day that the remnant of Israel and such as are escaped of the house of Jacob shall no more again stay upon them that smote them, but shall stay upon the Lord, the Holy One of Israel, in truth, because the nation of Israel is waking up now, a remnant of them. Now, I said when we were reading that Esau thinks that by destroying Judah, that they can destroy the rest of the tribes, because that's how warped their mentality is. Because they don't, even though they read it, they don't really believe it. So it says Romans 3:3, for what if some did not believe, shall their unbelief make the faith of the Most High without effect? Just because they don't believe, just because they put their effort in trying to destroy the nation of Israel, does that mean that the word of the Most High is still not going to take effect? Does that mean that the nations are still not going to go in slavery? Does it mean that Esau is not going to be burnt up after a 1,000-year period? No, because it's still going to happen. No matter what they say, no matter what they do, it's still going to happen. So it's not going to make the faith of the Most High without effect, because the Most High spoke it. He's going to make sure it comes to pass. Because he is the Most High. He is Yahweh. The Most High forbid, yea, let the Most High be true, but every man a liar. Right, because the justification of the Most High comes by what? By his words. When he makes them come to pass. But every man a liar, because man can't back up his words. He could say he's going to do something. He can mean that he's going to do something. He can mean very, very well. But it may not be in the power of his hands to do that. But it's everything that the Most High say, he can back it up. It says, as it is written, that thou mightest be justified in thy sayings and mightest overcome when thou art judged. And this is why we maintain in the scriptures. Everything that we do or say, we filter it through the scriptures to the best of our ability. Because that is our justification. You see, and this is why when brothers out there speaking, stick to the script. Stick to the scriptures. Because that is your justification. That's what keeps the devil at bay, so to speak. Finally, brethren, be strong in the Lord and in what? In the power of his might. That is our strength. So, let's read this one more time. And it shall come to pass in that day that the remnant of Israel and such as are escaped of the house of Jacob shall no more again stay upon him that smote them, who's the one that smote them? Esau and the other nations, especially Esau in these times, but shall stay upon the Lord, the Holy One of Israel, in truth. And this is why the Lord gave the truth. And this is, it's no coincidence that the men that woke up back then were who? Judites. And then Benjamites and Levites. You know? And then came what? The rest of the tribes. Because Judah had to be woken up first. Matter of fact. Let's get that. I believe that's Zechariah. What is that? 9:12? Nope. That's not it. Or is it 12 and 9? Nope, it's 12 and 7. The Lord also shall save the tents of Judah first. Why? Because Judah is the head tribe. And boneheads out there got to get that in their mind. You know, you still have among the different tribes, you know, they have a hatred for Judah, you know. You know, they talk shit about Judah, but Judah is the head tribe, man. Genesis 49:8. Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. So they are the first in line. The Most High put them there. Now, it wasn't always like that because Reuben was the firstborn. He was supposed to get the inheritance. But when he did what he did, the Lord took that away from him, gave it to who? To Ephraim. But then eventually the Lord took that away from Ephraim and gave it to Judah because it belonged to Judah anyway in the first place, because we all come out of the waters of Judah. Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee. See? Because Judah is a head tribe, meaning they're going to be lauded as the head tribe because Yahushua came out of the tribe of Judah. All right, so going back, it says, the Lord also shall save the tents of Judah first, that the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Judah. Why? Because Judah is a head tribe, period. End the sentence. That's it. There's no added, there's no paraphrasing or afterthoughts. There's no added, you know, nothing added there. Bottom line, Judah is the head tribe. That's it. You know? And, you know, this is, you know, I mean, you know, Elder Yashwamba had a series called, yeah, it just came to mind a low points in so-called black history. You know, this is a low point, man. When you would sit there and after all that this devil has done, still be fighting for them. And he don't really talk about, Jake don't talk about the Chinese and the Japanese and the Hamites and the Ishmaelites and, you know, what about them? There's always this motherfucking devil, man. Always a so-called white man. You know, the Caucasian. I mean, that is just the truest form of Stockholm Syndrome. My goodness. But you know what? We're going to go to get this other precept. And matter of fact, I might want to read that again. So let me go to Isaiah 29 and then we'll come back. Let's get that Stockholm Syndrome. See what it says. Bring that back here. Stockholm Syndrome. Feelings of trust or affection felt in many cases of kidnapping or hostage taking by a victim toward a captor. I'm going to let that resonate for a second. Let's read that again. Stockholm Syndrome. Feelings of trust or affection felt in many cases of kidnapping or hostage taking by a victim, Jake, toward a captor, Esau. And that's what the Lord said, that Jake is no longer going to stay upon the ones that pretty much did us dirt, so to speak, in so many words. So now let's go to, and that's this individual right here. He suffers from Stockholm Syndrome, even though he doesn't see that. And the reason why he doesn't see that is because the Lord put a veil over his head. Isaiah 29:9. Stay yourselves and wonder, cry ye out and cry. They are drunken, but not with wine. They stagger, but not with strong drink. So what they're staggering from is that Babylonian juice. You know, that cup of the whore that they've been sipping down. And they're pretty much engulfed in it. They're pickled in it pretty much. For the Lord hath poured out upon you the spirit of deep sleep. And you could see in this individual that he's in a deep sleep. And even the still I got of him, he got his eyes closed. He's in a deep stupor, a deep sleep, because the Lord put him there. And this is why, like I said, anyone with half a brain, before they would make a statement that we, the Hebrew Israelites, are worse than the Ku Klux Klan, they would sit there and analyze that before they even formulated it and put it into their lips. When you compare the two, there's no comparison. They've actually done physical things. We ain't do no physical things. We waiting on the Lord to avenge us. So just for him to say that shows how much love and how much in a Stockholm Syndrome spirit this individual is in. It's a shame. So it says, for the Lord hath poured out upon you the spirit of deep sleep, and hath closed your eyes. The prophets and your rulers and the seers hath he covered. And the Lord's going to deal with every last one of you. You pastors out there that have been pushing that plantation Christianity, that have been making your people to hope in the so-called white men and in that garbage doctrine of plantation Christianity that you've been pushing out there. The Lord's going to deal with every last one of you, man, because you motherfuckers know. Y'all know that that's all bullshit. And you know that that's a money-making racket that you can continually push to continually make yourself fat. And to be able to rule over these people so that they can keep paying you. The Lord's going to deal with every last one of you. You blind dogs. You dogs that cannot bark. You blind guides. The Lord's going to get every last one of you. And you ain't going to be able to keep doing the bullshit that you're doing to produce things like this is a product of plantation Christianity and the teachings of it. This is what it produces. And I'm surprised he got a somewhat of a beard on his face. I'm surprised about that, but he pretty much got that because that's the fad now. Everybody wears beards, so it's cool to have a beard. But back then, it wasn't cool to have a beard. People look at you like you was a bum. So that's why I'm surprised he got a beard on his face. It says, and the vision is become unto you as the words of a book that is sealed, which men deliver to one that is learned, saying, read this, I pray thee. And he saith, I cannot, for it is sealed. And this is dealing with those individuals that spent money to go to these different seminary schools to learn the Bible. When nowhere in the scriptures does any man of the Lord, any prophet ever go to any of these different colleges or whatever that are set up to learn the word. Excuse me. Now back then you had the House of Scrolls. You had, tutors that would teach nobles, children of nobles, as in the case of the Apostle Paul. But for the most part, the men of the Lord, you even heard it in the voices of those that were going to those places to learn back then from other Israelites, that these are unlearned men, ignorant men. Why? Because they weren't learned in the way that they were learned. But the plantation Christianity that's out here today is nothing like that, even though that was false back then, because they were venerating or honoring the traditions of men more than the words of the Most High. But today, it's all about getting your mind, even in these colleges, to get your mind geared up to keep Esau in power. And to look down upon your brother for telling you that that's the enemy. That's the mentality that's out here today. And the book is, and this is what? The product of plantation Christianity. Self-hate and a hate for your own brothers and sisters. That's the product of plantation Christianity. It says, and the book is delivered to him that is not learnt, saying, read this, I pray thee. And he saith, I cannot. I am not learned. Yeah, and he didn't go to college. And even if he went to college, he wouldn't have known, because the one that went to college doesn't know, and the one that don't go to college doesn't know. The only ones that know is what? The prophets of the Lord. Let's go real quick to Amos 3:7. It says, surely the Lord power will do nothing, but he revealeth his secret unto his servants, the prophets. So if you're not a prophet, you're not going to get the secrets. You see? And this is very systematic in how Esau did this. It says, wherefore the Lord said, for as much as this people draw near me with their mouth, and with their lips do honor me, but have removed their heart far from me, because you have the men of the Lord that's out here that are inspired by Yahweh Bashem Yahushai teaching, and they still reject it. Jeremiah 3:15, and I will give you passage according to mine heart, which is according to the mind of the Most High, which is in the book, the same book they use, but they have the wrong frequency. They're on the wrong frequency, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding. But Jake rejects it. That's why it says that it says, wherefore the Lord said, for as much as this people draw near me with their mouth, and with their lips do honor me, but have removed their heart far from me, and their fear toward me is taught by the precept of men. And this is what the Lord is angry about. And this is a product of that. Their fear towards the Lord is taught by the precept of men. And this is why you have individuals like this, talking about, that we have an evil doctrine because we don't include, he said the nations, but mainly he said the Caucasians. You don't include them. You don't include Massa in this thing, man. What's wrong with you? Massa good to us. And that's that slave mentality that's prevalent among all the tribes, beginning with Judah all the way down to Issachar. Because them Latin tribe, they're fucking enamored with Esau. You could look that word up. They're enamored with Esau. To them, that you if you say anything bad about it, I mean, you seen people, the test when back in the days we used to throw the Caesar Borgia picture on the ground where people were walking, and people would jump and trip and almost bust their ass not to step on that picture. So Jake, as a whole, has this undying love for this devil. But that's soon going to be the cure is going to be destruction, and then in the kingdom they'll be, ashamed for a little bit, but then that shame is going to go away, because they're gonna, they're gonna understand that that's the walk that they had to walk. See, because at the end of the day, we can't choose our walk. So that was it on that. That's pretty much it. I don't really have anything else. But this is that Stockholm syndrome. Feeling of trust or affection felt in many cases of kidnapping or hostage taken by a victim, Jake, toward a captor, Esau. And this is why you see that. So with that, I pray that your brothers have been edified. Until the next time I say Shalom. 3:7. It says, surely the Lord power will do nothing, but he revealeth his secret unto his servants, the prophets. So if you're not a prophet, you're not going to get the secrets. You see? And this is very systematic in how Esau did this. It says, wherefore the Lord said, for as much as this people draw near me with their mouth, and with their lips do honor me, but